All right, we are back. Another solo edition of the Let's Go podcast. I think we're at 61, episode number 61. Pretty crazy. A lot of episodes here. In the next couple of weeks, we've got some exciting guests coming on the podcast. As you all know, by now, we have the big Gridiron Gauntlet, HSL flag football tournament. The best football players in the world supporting an amazing, amazing cause. Yeshiva of Cherry Hill. They have a foundation that really helps boys be able to afford to go to yeshiva. And it's an amazing, amazing cause. A lot of boys, currently in the yeshiva right now, use this scholarship fund to be able to afford to go to yeshiva and really are thriving thanks to the scholarship fund, and it's an amazing, amazing cause that we're very thrilled to be partnered with for the upcoming football tournament. Myself and David Gottlieb and the HSL are working really hard together with Jonas and Loninger, who's doing an amazing job. Jonas is the king when it comes to football. He plays in every league. He's all over, and he's really taking the he's really taken all the recruiting by storm, and we can't wait to get into the fundraising and the incentives and all the fun stuff we have coming up, and obviously ultimately leading up to the amazing, amazing day, Sunday, April 6th, day to remember. You don't want to miss out. So we're looking forward to that. Of course, we're here with our weekly. And by the way, we'll have, hopefully going to have him on soon on the podcast. Also going to be to discuss more. We have a couple other some fun guys coming up in the next couple of weeks as we get back into action, and we're getting closer and closer to HSL softball. HSL softball is the cream of the crop. It's our, all of our leagues are awesome, obviously, but HSL softball is our baby. So we started with, and we can't wait for our 14-team league starting March 9th. We're literally 2.5 weeks away. Stay tuned for the opening power rankings for both the Titan and Legacy League coming up soon. So just a little introduction. And now let's get going with the power rankings for week 6. So we have completed 5 weeks now. We are over the halfway mark. It's crazy how fast things have gone by. And things are really heating up. Playoff races are heating up. Still have 3 weeks left, but we'll get into a lot of different teams who are very tangled up with each other. So coming in at 14 and remaining at 14 is MS Motors. Alonzo Kubowitz is definitely a solid addition. He's been playing really well, racking up rebounds, a couple dunks every game. Definitely is cool to have in the league. But overall, MS Motors just seemingly is a level below every other team in this league. They did add a win a couple weeks ago, but the last 2 losses were combined by 120 or so points. Not something we want. Hopefully, they'll be able to pick up a couple of players. Again, it's a non-roster league. Still 4 games remaining, so you never know. Or 3 games remaining, and you need 3 games to be eligible for the playoffs. So you never know what could happen. But for now, they'll be remaining 14. Coming in at 13 and sliding down one spot is Addictive Ads by Shloyo. I've been keeping them in the 10-11 range in the power rankings for the last while, even though they haven't never gotten a win. Because every game, seemingly they're in the game, at least for the first half, and then even the first 7-8 minutes of the second half, and they have a really solid team. But they're 0-5 right now. They're not out of the playoff chase, as we'll see in a second. But they're 0-5, and I just can't fathom to put them anything higher than 13. Coming in at 12 and moving down 3 spots, and this is a big one, is Annie's Kitchen Lot Pizzeria. They definitely came in with a lot of hype. Daniel Ibrahimi was coming off of a fantastic season in the fall. Led the league in 3-pointers, but not only 3-pointers. He was just money, field goal percentage from the field. He had a great team around him, and it seems like this year, not necessarily anyone's fault. They're just all over the place. They have 2 or 3 consistent guys. Everyone else is in and out. They're showing up late to games. Um, you know, Having trouble keeping their cool on the court. And that is a disaster. Besides for anything else, combined coming late to games, not having a consistent roster, and not being able to stay level headed on the court, and that's not a sight you want to see. That being said, they did lose a really, really close game to losses of Roman Aminoff, Boris M. Tax Planning. They actually went into overtime. They lost by a few points in overtime. They'll move down 3 spots from 9 to 12. They dropped to 1-4 in the season. Coming in at number 11 is Barbacoa. They'll remain at number 11 like they were last week in the power rankings. Barbacoa played a very tough team at Ulm Realty. Not much you could expect. Ulm Realty is the number 2 ranked team in the league. Barbacoa were down by 12 or 13 at halftime, ended up losing by like 20 or so points. They played a decent game. Yemi Normark had a very solid game. We haven't yet posted highlights of that game. We'll probably post them once the Shabbos with the rest of the Wall Street Grill Division highlights. But they dropped to 1-4 and will remain 11 in the power rankings. Gordon Companies also took a tough loss last night. They're going to be 10 in the power rankings. They faced another fantastic and the number 1 team in the league, Link Home Care. Gordon Companies lost by 15 or so points. they did bring in Matt Rosenberg, which if they could get Matt to qualify for the playoffs, and again, Gordon Company's now 1-4, and you think at 1-4, 3 games left, you're done. You're not, and we'll get into that at the end of this power rankings here. But Gordon Company's currently at 1-4. Brought in Matt Rosenberg. Jack Ross had a good game. Matt had a couple of big threes in the second half, try to keep it close, but ultimately Link was just way too powerful. Wasser really dominated. They were playing without Pacey Jacoby and Ariel Swing, but you got the guys Shoal Wasser on your team. It's him alone. It's hard to beat, as we saw when Wasser played against Olin Realty with Jesse Levenger and a bunch of other random non-roster players who weren't super talented. They still hung around almost the whole entire game. Coming in at number 9 and finally getting out of the doldrums to the bottom 2 power ranking spots, and Kraft will be very happy with this, is Moshe Kraft and Law Office of Roman Aminoff for some tax planning. They have won now 2 in a row. They have brought in a couple of players that are not roster players, which again is allowed as long as they have never played for other teams. There is one player in Moshe Rubin who played his first game of the season for Link Home Care and has now played 2 straight for Boris M. Tax planning Law Office of Roman Aminoff. I'm getting a lot of push from Moshe Kraft to try to allow this, and my answer to him is no. He cannot play in the playoffs. If the team you're playing against in the first round is okay with it, then great. I feel bad a little bit. Yeah, I think the roster he came in with, I think he underestimated the talent of the league, at least the top teams, and it wasn't competitive enough. He did pick up a couple of really good additions that have never played for other teams, but Moshe Rubin is, I think, the best addition he's picked up so far, and did help him get his last 2 wins very clearly. And although the problem is, and the question is how is he gonna, if they do slide into the playoffs, which now it's looking very likely they do, at 2-4, they probably have a 70 to 80% chance of getting a wild card spot. How are they gonna last and compete in the wild card round? So I guess that's something to wait and see. Coming in at 8 and staying at 8 is HAB Construction. They played, I wouldn't say with their full squad, but definitely had more players than they had the week before. They played a very competitive game against the Fly Vipers, who continued to impress. They hung around. They ended up losing by 10 or 15 points. But they played competitive, played a really good team, and they were missing their point guard. So for that reason, they'll remain at 8. They dropped to 2-3 on the season. Coming in at 7 and moving down 1, even though they had a win as day 3 rise to Fly, they chomped and took advantage of the 0-4 take the bad Simchas by Shloyo. They also played without a couple of players. So the question is, if they won, now they're 4-1. They're tied in first place in their division with Link Home Care. Link Home Care is in first place because they have the tiebreaker, yet they're the 7 in the power rankings, which is a confusing stat. It's a confusing fact, and I'm sure Ellie Dack's going to send me a voice note after saying, how am I 7 if I'm tied in first place in my division? Well, let's get into that. Coming in at 6 and moving up a spot is the Fly Vipers. I've been keeping them at 7 the last 3 weeks. I saw Fly Vipers play with the regular squad, and I saw Noah Aaron be Noah Aaron this past week. The guy's a monster. They're missing 2 of their top players last week, and they still just played dominantly. They have a great mix of players. They have 2 fantastic shooters. They have they have 2 bigs down low, and then they also have a couple of great guards. They're a fantastic team. I think they might be the most underrated team in the league. I'm not sure what their roster is looking like this Sunday, but they have a big test against Olam Realty. And if they do show up with the roster, which again, last I heard, they're missing a lot of guys, it should be a great game. And, we'll wait and see how that one goes. So they come in at 6. Coming in at 5 and staying the same as Royal Adjuster, they demolished MS Motors. They beat them by 70 or 70 points. Jonathan Baez had a triple-double for the ages, as he should. The guy's a pro, and he played against a team that's just not at the same level as them. But they'll remain at 5 due to the competition that they faced on this past week. Coming in at number 4 and staying the same at number 4 is Jules by DK. Jules by DK and Under 510 Pipe Doctor, who had the 3 spot in our power rankings, faced each other this past week. And, as we expected, the game came down to the wire. Very good teams, very similar teams. They're both very athletic, very good shooters. Jaime Salem is a fantastic addition for Under 510 Pipe Doctor. He had a great game. Jordan Appel played really well. Yoni Sampson came to play. He had a really, really good game. He had like 15 points in the first 7 or 8 minutes. He ended up with, I think, 18 or 19, maybe a little more even. Very competitive game. Under 510 Pipe Doctor got the win by 4 or 5. And I expect these 2 teams to be in it till, very far into the playoffs. So we got Jules by DK at 4, Under 510 Pipe Doctor at 3. And rounded up, we had Olin Realty at 2, Link Home Care at 1. Olin Realty, as we said earlier, had a very convincing win against Barbacoa. And Link Home Care last night in the Wall Street Girl division had a big time win against Gordon companies. So, those are the power rankings. And now just to get into a little bit, um, let's look a little bit at the standings here. And, one of the great things about this league is the way it works is we have two divisions of seven. So each division, the top three teams in each division get a bye. Obviously, you want to win the division because then you either get the Wall Street Grill dinner, you get the King Ventures hoodies, custom hoodies. So, definitely a prize for getting the one seed. But after the top three seeds get a bye, we also have another four teams that will make it as a wild card. So, and those four is not based on division, it's based on best overall record. So we do have 3 games remaining. And right now we have Olem Realty, the Fly Vipers, and Under 510 Pipe Doctor as the three division winners in the Wall Street Grill division, in the Convention division. In the Wall Street Grill division, we have Link Home Care, Day 3 Rides to Fly, and Royal Adjuster as the three division winners as of now. So now, after those 6, we still have another 4 spots. So currently we have Jules by DK at 3 and 2, Hap Construction at 2 and 3, and we have Boris M Tax Planning at 2 and 3. So those three, let's say, will get 3 of the 4. And for all those teams right now that are in the doldrums, whether you're Barbacoa at 1 and 4, whether you're Andy's Kitchen La Pizzeria at 1 and 4, whether you're Gordon Companies at 1 and 4, MS Motors at 1 and 4, Addictive Ads and by Shloyo at 0 and 5, you have 5 teams there that are within either tied for the last playoff spot or within 1 game with 3 games left. So again, that's the great thing about why we added these 4 wildcard spots. Again, you don't want to end up in a wildcard spot because even if you get out of that wildcard round, you're guaranteed to play either the 1 or 2 seed in the league, which will probably be Olem Realty, Link Home Care, maybe Day 3 Rides to Fly if they can sneak in Royal Adjuster. But so you're in big trouble, but it's still making the playoffs and playing an extra game, and you never know. So just for all those teams who are really in doldrums right now, Gordon Companies are on a 4-game losing streak, Andy's Kitchen La Pizzeria on a 4-game losing streak, Barbacoa on a 4-game losing streak. Simple Spice still haven't won a game yet. They're on a 5-game losing streak, and MS Motors. All you teams who are hanging out in the basement of your divisions, you guys still have a shot. I think if the season ended right now, if I'm not mistaken, Annie's Kitchen La Pizzeria would get that last spot based on point differential. I haven't done too much research into it, but I think that's where we'd be at. But my point is that all 5 of those teams are fighting it out for that last spot right now. And even Half Construction and Boris M, they're 2 and 3. They only have 1 game on the 1 and 4 teams. So you're a 1 and 4 team. You're tied for the last playoff spot. You're a game out of the second last playoff spot, and even the 0 and 5 Addictive Basketball by Shloyo, I was speaking to them. I told them I think they're the best 0 and 5 team I've ever seen play. Win 2 of your next 3 games, and you could end up, good to go. So there's potential to get into that last playoff wildcard spot with 2 wins, which is pretty intense. But that's how the season played out. We have a couple of teams that are just dominating, a couple of teams that are really struggling, and we're hoping that teams that are really struggling could somehow escape and get into the wildcard spot. So every single team right now in this league coming into 3 weeks left, just know that you guys are very much alive for a playoff spot. Again, not the spot you want to be in. You'd rather be a division winner and get straight into that quarterfinal play, but you are very much alive. We have a couple of really good matchups coming up on Sunday. Like I said, the matchup to watch for is the Fly Vipers versus Olem Realty, who claim they're never going to lose a game. This is going to be a tough matchup for them, especially if Fly can have their whole team. And we shall see what happens. But it should be a fun week 6. It should be a fun final 3 weeks of the season. And that's it. A couple of things to look out for, like I said, is the HSL Spring Softball League coming up. We're closing up our sponsorships right now for all the teams. We are going to be having our power rankings a week from Friday, the Friday before the season starts. We can't wait to come up with that. The schedule should be out at the end of next week. We're considering doing a basketball spring league as well, spring/summer league. So if you're interested in that, let me know. And our kids leagues are in full effect here, getting close to the playoffs here for our youth basketball league, and the multi-sport league is also pumping as well. And for the spring, we're super excited to be partnering with the JCBL. With the hardball league, also all of our kids leagues as well. We are doing a soccer league for the 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. So a lot of going on here at HSL. We're working hard to try to bring the best product to everyone watching at home. I thank you all for watching. And like I said, this coming next 2 weeks, we got a couple of fun guests, a couple of cool guests, and it should be a lot of fun. Thanks everybody for watching, and stay tuned for more HSL. Looking forward to week 6 on Sunday.